Good morning, students. Welcome to the OOAD session. In today's session, we are going to see about domain model refinement. Because we saw so many things related to domain model. Now we are going to say how to refine, how to enhance the features in the domain model. Okay. Now, before getting into domain model refinement, let's have a quick review of the previous session. We saw about attributes. In last class, we saw about attributes. What are the characteristics? What are the visibility modes with respect to attributes? Public, private, and protected, which are denoted by plus, minus, and hash symbol respectively. Then the syntax for attribute. Then we saw some examples related to the data types that are used for the attributes, and at some situation we can also use some fixed value for the attributes. Then one more thing in attribute we saw is a derived attribute. If an attribute is derived from some other attribute, it is called as derived. The best example is age. We are calculating age based on the date of birth. Like that, we can relate it to any application. Okay. So we saw the data types. Apart from the primitive data types, we can also use address, color as some common data types for the attributes. Then for the two case studies, the next gen POS and the Monopoly game, we saw what are the attributes that were used. Okay. So with this, I have stopped. Let's quickly review this last slide of a previous session. So these are the attributes that are used in the Monopoly game for each class. So we are having four major classes, a die as one class, square as another class, player, and then piece. Apart from that, you can also have board, etc. Just for example, I have mentioned four classes. For die, what will be the attribute? Face value, because after rolling the die, you are going to calculate the number that is present on the die. Based on that, you are going to make the moves in your board. So that is the face value. Face value is the attribute. Next one is square. Square can be, you can give some name for the square. So what it will do, it will print the desired output. So for example, assume that you are playing all these games online. I hope you are very familiar with the Ludo game. You all are playing the Ludo game. So player 1, player 2, 3, 4, you can give the names, your name and your friend's name. That name will be displayed then and there with the points also. Same thing only for the square, we can give the name, and also for the player, we can give the name. For piece also, you can use name as the attribute. Okay. So with this, we have discussed the attributes. Very important big question. Explain the attributes in UML, or write a detailed note on attributes. You have to write all these points. Better write with these two case studies for any question. For any big question, write these two case studies with proper diagram. Okay. So now getting into domain model refinement, the first two things we have discussed already, generalization and specialization. Okay. So what is the generalization? A general class. Suppose if I am going to make it specific, if I am going to further divide into many classes, means then we go for specialization. Okay. These two things we are going to see in detail in other names. For generalization means we can have it as superclass. Specialization is nothing but the subclass. How we are going to create superclass, subclass, etc. we will see now. The third one is the conceptual class hierarchy. That is based on the superclass and subclass. We are going to draw the hierarchy for the conceptual class. Yes. Let's have a simple practical example. Let's take chair. Chair as a class. CHAIR, chair. So it comes under what? It's a kind of what? Furniture. So furniture is the superclass for the chair. Okay. So furniture can be a class of what? It is a non-electronic device. You can have two categories: electronic device, electronic instruments, and non-electronic components like that. Under non-electronic components, you have what? Furniture. Under furniture, you can have what? Chair. Like that, you have to give the classification. So that is the conceptual class hierarchy. Okay. So let's see the thing. A very common example we saw in the next gen POS. A very important class is a payment. So far we have seen what? Payment as a single class. But I have told this concept already in generalization. Okay, same thing only we are going to see in a refined way. That is your domain model refinement. In a general domain model, we saw payment as a simple class only, but that payment can be made specific as what? A cash payment, a credit payment, or the check payment. We discussed this in the case study, the next gen POS. So you are arriving into the store and you are buying some items. You are taking the bill. A cashier will prepare the bill and the cashier will give the bill to you. So you are making the payment. That is the general scenario of the next gen POS. But under payment, what can we do? You can have some classification. You can have some categories. So this is the conceptual class hierarchy. If a class can be divided into further classes, you have to make the hierarchy. Normally, hierarchy means what? Grandfather. From grandfather, you are having father. From father, son, daughter, like that. From son, grandson, then great grandson, like that you are moving. In the downward arrow, normally we are representing a general hierarchical representation. Okay, but here this is the notation you have to use. Okay. This arrow mark should be pointing to the superclass, not to the subclass. Okay. So which one is the conceptual superclass here? All are related to conceptual class only here. Don't say simply as class. A class with concept. It is representing something. Here you have mentioned the attribute also. But here attribute is not mentioned. You can add the attribute also. But no need at all because this amount is applicable for what? Cash payment, credit payment, and check payment. All these are the categories under the payment only. So this payment is called as the conceptual superclass. How many conceptual subclasses are there? 3 subclasses for this superclass. So your arrow mark, your filled triangle arrow mark, it should point to the superclass. This is the notation for what? Class hierarchy, or another thing what? Generalization. This is called as generalization and specialization. One more thing, this you can represent in some other way also. Same thing, you can have payment. So you are having 3 classes. Like this, you can apply this conceptual hierarchy for any class wherever possible. So you can relate this like this also, separate line with arrow mark. Okay, so adjust with my diagram. So this is also another way. Both are same only. Both represent the same thing only. But this is called as what? Separate triangle arrow mark. This one is called as shared triangle arrow mark. Shared target. This one is separate target. You might have questions from this, but you have to know this concept also. Okay. So this superclass and subclass can be denoted in any of these 2 ways. This one is called as what? Shared target, because the single line, yes, this is shared to 3 classes. But in this representation, I have given 3 separate lines from the 3 separate subclasses. Okay, so this is called as separate target. This one is called as shared target. Yes. So next, how to define the superclass and subclass? Because the same concepts which we have studied in the object-oriented programming. How can we relate the superclass and subclass? Through inheritance. Yes. What is the advantage of inheritance? Reusability. No need to define the features again and again. So I can use the features of one class through inheritance. Okay. So the class from which I am inheriting is called as what? Parent class or base class. So the class which is inheriting those features, that is called as child class or derived class. Yes, parent and child, or base class and derived class. The same concept only in UML, in OOAD, we are mentioning it as what? Superclass and subclass. That is the only thing. Just we are going to see some notations with respect to superclass and subclass. Then how to create subclass, what are the features of subclass. There are two rules we are going to see, which is applicable for both superclass and subclass. Okay. So now defining the superclass and subclass. Normally, a superclass definition is more general. We all know because it is very general, generic. Specific means what? It is the subclass. Always a subclass is a subset of whom? Of its superclass only, not the other superclass. Okay. Very simple. You can have, you can write it also. Superclass means parent class. Okay. Subclass means derived class. That's it. So always a subclass is a subset of its superclass. For this definition, for defining the superclass and subclass, there are two rules that are used. 100% rule and then is a rule. These are the two rule names. 100% rule means 100% of the conceptual superclass definition should be applicable to subclass. Suppose I am having the same, this one, payment. So 100% of the attributes or the things that are used in payment, it should be applicable to all the three subclasses. If any one feature is not at all applicable to the subclass, means you can't consider it as a subclass. All the features must be applicable to all the subclasses. Then that is called as the 100% rule. Conformance means what? Not conform, C-O-N-F. It's not C-O-N-F-I-R-M. Conformance. The subclass must conform to. Conform means fix to, adapt to, fit into, like that. So the subclass must fit into 100% of the superclass attributes and associations. Yes? Got it? So the payment, what are all the attributes that are used in payment? What are the operations that are used in payment that should be applicable to whom? That should be applicable to all the three phases, three classes. Cash payment, credit payment and check payment. Okay. We can have a very common example. A course. Okay. That course can be what? Or department. The department can be what? It can be categorized as CSE, ECE, mechanical, EEE, like that. For the department, you can have some fixed attributes. For the department, you can have what? So student roll number. Under department, you will have different classes. Very common attributes if you are having for the department means that is applicable for ECE, CSE and EEE. So student faculty ratio, that is considered as one attribute of the department means that should be applicable for all the three departments. WAP class for the department, that should be applicable for all the three classes. Training, that must be applicable for all the three classes. So that is called as 100% rule. Okay, very important 2 marks. Define 100% rule and then define is a rule. So this is the first rule with respect to superclass and subclass. All these things, superclass, subclass, conceptual class hierarchy, the entire thing comes under the domain model refinement. Okay. So the second rule is the rule. Is the means what? It is a part of, like that. So a subclass, it's a part of what? Superclass. It is a superclass. So look at the first point. All the members of a subclass set must be members of the superclass set. It's a very obvious thing we have to accept. Yes. So subclass is a superclass because it comes under superclass only. Actually, it's a part of superclass, but that subclass can also be divided, considered as a superclass, and it can have different subclasses. Like what? Multi-level inheritance. You will be having one parent class and then what? One child. That is one base class, then one derived class. That derived class can act as parent class. Then you will be having another derived class, like that. Multi-level inheritance. So like that. Is a rule means a subclass is a superclass. So all the members of the subclass must be members of the superclass set also. So these are the two rules, 100% rule and then is a rule. Don't forget these rules hereafter. Just very simple thing only. Next, when we have to define the subclass. There are some conditions. Suppose under payment, if you are having some other non-related item. So under payment, you are having cash payment, credit payment, and then check payment. Suppose you are having the fourth class as uh, purchase item or product like that. Is it related to payment? A product is related to payment only, but under payment you can't categorize product as the subclass. Okay, so it must be related in such a way that it has to use the attributes of the superclass, or it has to use the operations or the association. Then only we can consider this class as a subclass. Okay, so these are the things that have to be followed when defining a subclass. The subclass can have, first point, has additional attributes of interest. Though it is inheriting the superclass attributes, it can have its own attributes. Yes, a son or a daughter can have the characteristics of his father or mother. He can have the color of the father. He can have the nature. There is some habits of the mother. In addition, that person, that son or daughter, he or she may have her own qualities, own characteristics. That is up to the subclass only. So that is the first one. The subclass has additional attributes of interest. Like that. Second, also it is related. The subclass has additional association. It can have some other extra association with other classes also. It's not necessary that it should associate only to the superclass. It can have some additional association to other classes. Next, third one, the subclass is operated on differently from the superclass or other subclasses. That means what? Different operations. Yes, subclass can have additional attributes. It can have additional association. It can have additional operations. There is a third thing, additional functions. Though it is accessing the superclass functions, it may have its own methods or operations also. Okay. The last point, the subclass represents an animated thing that behaves differently from the superclass. If you can use some animated thing, but that animated thing may not be present in the superclass. But you can represent the animated, represent the subclass using the animated thing. So these are the not conditions, four things that are applicable for the subclass. Yes. For defining a superclass also, we need to consider some features of subclasses only. Then only we can define a superclass. Okay. So first one is possible subclasses represent variations of a similar concept. What do you mean by that one? Subclasses represent some similar concept. Then only I can define a superclass. Yes. Let's see some another example. A library management system. You are going to get a book, lend a book. So book is a class. Let's have the example here. So here, book as one class. That book can be what? Either computer science book or EC based book or general books. Okay, any English literature books, anything. So I can have different categories. Okay, but the similar concept is what? Just book. I want to get a book, but under that I can have different variations, different categories. Okay, so like that you can apply this superclass and subclass for any concept. Okay, any concept means whichever applicable, whichever related by common concepts. So we can use the superclass. That is the first one. Then subclasses will conform to the 100% and is a rule. That is, it should satisfy both the rules, 100% rule and is a rule. Then only I can form a superclass. Yes, if these two subclass, this is subclass 1, this is subclass 2. If these two subclasses are satisfying these two rules means, then I can create the superclass. Yes, then only I can define a superclass. Then third one, all subclasses have the same attribute that can be factored out and put in the superclass. That means what? These subclasses, they are united in some way, but by payment. By payment, these are united. So you can put it as an attribute in the superclass. And also all subclasses have the same association. What do you mean by that one? There are different kinds of associations we have discussed so far. Unified association, bidirectional association. If just a simple solid, sorry, just simple solid line is given means it is nothing but what? Bidirectional association. Suppose you are relating, what are the other things? Generalization, then what? Aggregation, composition, etc. You can include this aggregation, composition and all under the domain model refinement also. Okay, so you can't put like this. Suppose you are having, so bear with my handwriting. These are three subclasses. This is my superclass. Okay. Is it applicable? So this is filled diamond. The filled diamond denotes what? Composition. An empty diamond denotes aggregation. This line with the triangle denotes the generalization. All the subclasses must use same association only. I can't use different kinds of association, different kinds of relationship. One subclass through aggregation, one subclass through generalization, another through composition. It is entirely wrong. You can't use this one. You can have like this only. This is what? Bidirectional association, a simple association. Or if you want the same, this previous one. This is a similar kind of association because for all the three subclasses, I am using what? Generalization only. So that is the last point given. All subclasses have the same association that can be related to the superclass. You can't use this one. Don't use at all. Okay. So these are all the things related to subclass and superclass. You can relate for any example. Hope you all had breakfast. So breakfast is a class. It's an abstract type. That breakfast, it can be what? It can be specifically given as idli, dosa, chapati, like that. You can have any varieties. So those can be considered as the subclasses. Okay. Next, abstract conceptual class. Almost all the concepts we have touched in the previous sessions also. When I taught that conceptual class, when I taught initially the domain model and all, just I noted this point also, abstract class. Generally, in OOPS you have studied. What is an abstract class? A class with no object. That is a class without object. But why? How can we use that class? We can use the attributes of that particular class. I am not at all defining operations. I am not at all using objects for the particular. If any class is means, I can access the members of the class only through what? Objects. But I am not creating object at all. Then what is the use of the class? I can use the attributes of that class for some purpose. Those classes are called as abstract classes. Here, as we are dealing with conceptual classes, these are called as abstract conceptual classes. So look at the definition. If every member of a class C must also be a member of a subclass, then C is called as an abstract class. Every member is also a member. So assume that C as a sub one class. Okay. That is, if C is never used by itself, but only the derived classes are used, then C is called as the abstract class. Here, the C is nothing but payment class. Payment is the class, but actually that class is not used because it is divided into what? Cash payment, credit, and then check payment. I am actually going to use any one of these only, either cash, either credit, or check only. Yes, I am not at all going to use the C, but through C I am deriving. I have derived these three classes. So this payment is considered as the abstract class. Okay, this thing that eating breakfast. Breakfast is an abstract class. I am not at all going to actually use the particular class. Breakfast is divided into three categories. I can use any one of the categories, any one of the classes. Okay, so That thing is called as abstract class. Always you have to denote the abstract class by in italics. Okay, now just writing the class name. If you are mentioning, if you are selecting and if you are mentioning that name in italics means then it denotes the abstract class. Uh, as said earlier, all the notations are very, very important. Each and every symbol gives a very large meaning. I have used one symbol called slash in the last session. The slash symbol denotes what? Derived attribute. Yes. Before that attribute, you have to mention that slash symbol. Slash age. It means what? Then age is considered as the derived attribute. Similarly, if you are writing a class name in italics means then that is called as the abstract class. Got it? That only is mentioned here. This is the note, concept note. Okay. You can give like this. So payment is the abstract class indicated by italics. Next, how to model the changing states. Just a very different thing only, but we can associate with this, with the classes. How modeling the changing states. Normally, we should not model the states of the concept. Just listen carefully. Don't model the states of a concept X as subclasses of X. That means what? Suppose you are having one superclass. You can't model the state. State means behavior or the current position. States as the subclasses. You have to define a hierarchy. You can't directly model all the states of X here, concept X as the subclasses of X. Instead of that, you have to define a state hierarchy. Like class hierarchy, you can have here what? State hierarchy, and then you have to associate the states with the particular class. Yes, it won't be clear if I just mention theoretically. Look at this example. You can note the major difference here. Excuse me. So look at that first diagram. You are having payment. That payment can be what? Unauthorized payment or authorized payment. If I am making it correctly, then it's an authorized payment. If I am giving a wrong password means it will lead to unauthorized payment. It depends on the state, current state. Only if the user is giving the valid username and password. If they are logging valid in a valid way only, they can be considered as authorized payment. Otherwise, it is a unauthorized payment. We can't divide this class in the beginning itself. Yes, in the domain model itself, I can't use payment here, then making us authorized and unauthorized. It depends on the state. It depends on the changing state only. So now what you have to do? It depends on the particular scenario. If I am not giving a correct username and password, then it will be treated as unauthorized. These are the changing states of which class? Of the superclass. For payment, I have to give the current payment. I have to enter the payment gateway properly through the authorized code. Okay. Otherwise, it will be considered as unauthorized. So, this diagram you can't give like this because it is not the subclasses. What this generally denotes? Payment as superclass, unauthorized payment as one class, authorized as another subclass. But this is not at all practically suitable. Okay. Practically, it's not giving exact meaning. So, instead, what you have to do? The payment is in payment state. You have to mention the particular class state as a separate class. That only given here. Define a state hierarchy. Okay, define a state hierarchy, then associate those states. Because it is not permanent. Always your payment won't be unauthorized. Sometimes it may be unauthorized. Okay, so create another class called what? Payment state. Then under the payment state, you may have what? Two states, either unauthorized state or authorized state. So avoid using this kind of representation. You have to mention this way only. This is the correct way of representing the changing states. So how to model the changing states? That is given here. So always all the students won't pay exam fee late. Some persons will pay the exam fee late. Okay. Some person will have some due. Okay. So you can't divide that exam into late fee people, normal fee like that. Okay. It is based on the state of the particular class. So in that situation, you have to make that state itself as a separate class. So here you are having what? Two states, payment as one class and payment state as another class, like a description class. Okay. So what is the meaning here? Many payment is in one payment state. This is a better way of representing the changing states. Okay. Then association class. Don't confuse the meaning of association with association class. Okay. Normally association means what? Just this one. This is an association. The kind of association is generalization here. Just I am relating one class with other class. So this is association. One class associated to other class. A normal dashed line. That is association. But here, now we are going to see association classes. How to give a association class. In attributes we have seen, and also in description class. Suppose I want to explain the attribute. I don't want to I don't want to put all the attributes in a single class. Instead, I want to explain some of one attribute in a detailed way. Means I can give it as a separate class. Course one class, course description as another class. Okay, like that. Here you are having one term called association classes. What it means if a class C has many values for the same kind of attribute, then you have to create an association class with that attribute, and then you have to associate it with the class C. Again, I repeat, if a class C means, for example, we have taken that name. If a class C can simultaneously have many values for the same kind of attribute. Suppose one attribute can have many values. At that situation, you can create an association class for that attribute. And then you have to associate all the values with the particular class C. The best example is given in the second point itself. Suppose a person is having many phone numbers. Obviously, we all have more than one phone number, majorly. So, phone number is an attribute for a student or faculty or anything, for person. Or if a banking application is mentioned, means customer as one class. For the customer, what are the attributes you can give? Customer ID, name, phone number is mandatory one. Yes, that is a mandatory attribute. But that phone number, it can have many values. That is, a person is having 3 phone numbers. For that, you can give that phone number in a separate class. In that situation, you can place the phone number in a separate class and associate those phone numbers with the person. That is called as association class. Got it? A student cannot have more than one roll number. It is not at all possible. A student can't have more than one register number. A single student can't have more than one name. He can't have more than one date of birth, but he may have many phone numbers. Like that, what else can be added for association class? He can have many IDs, mail IDs, personal ID, college ID, etc. So you can give mail ID as the attribute, but that attribute can have different values. So you make that mail ID as the association class. Then you enter all those mail IDs one by one. Got it? Let's move to this example. Okay, I didn't mention, so you can have example here. So student. So you're having student, then you are having mail ID. Instead of mail ID, I can have another class itself as mail ID. Okay. Then you write one by one all the mail IDs. Now associate this student class. So this is student only. Okay. Don't mention the No need to mention the attribute here. Student associated with mail ID. Under mail ID, you are having so many values. So you have to create an association class. Your mail ID will be here, but that is described in a separate class. You are associating both the classes. This is called as association class. What are the guidelines to be followed for an association class? I can't give a association for class for any attribute, as said earlier. I can't give for roll number, register number, etc. It may be useful only if an attribute is related to an association. If I want to access the mail IDs, which mail ID I can give? Other thing, I can go for the association class. I can pick any one value. Okay. And also, this association class will be useful if the instances of the association class have a lifetime dependency. Instances means what? I can create many instances for the particular object. Okay. At that situation, you can use the association class. If the instances depend fully on the association, then we can have association class. And also there is a many-to-many association between two concepts. And information can be associated with the association itself. Here look at the example. A person can interview with many companies. Yes. So which can be treated as the association class here. So the interview can be the association class. Because a person can have interview with many companies. Under interview, you can have June month interview companies or July month or MNCs. Then you can have different categories and not categories, different values under the interview. Okay, online interview, oral interview. Okay, like that you can have face-to-face interview. So that on that place you can make this interview as the association class. It will have some information. Yes. Next, we saw about role, where you have to mention the role at the end of the class. Yes, this is called as role. Here the role of person is what? Manager. The role of student can be what? He can be a blood donor. He can be a social worker. He can be a sportsman. We discussed previously. So role means in that particular application, what is the role of the particular person? Yes. So one person can have different roles. So far we didn't see this one. Just I mentioned only one role. A role can be associated for any class. Okay, faculty. The role of the faculty can be counselor. The role of the faculty can be what? Class in charge. Yes, you have to fix the proper role. So like that, here, there are different roles. That is roles in association. Here you are having the class called what? Person. The person can be what? He can be a manager or a cashier or a worker. He is associated to whom? He is associated to store. Store. That is, it is related to the that is next gen POS. Store or shop. So one store employs to manage how many people? Many people. Star denotes many people. Okay. If no navigability is given means you have to associate from left to right only. You know the navigability, the symbol. You don't put a line and all, just a filled triangle, arrow mark. So a store employs to manage many person. Who will handle the sales? Not the sweeper, not the worker or manager. Especially whose role? It is the role of the cashier. So at this stage, you can mention the role as cashier because for this verb, for this action, cashier playing that particular role. Employs to handle sales. Who is employed to handle the sales? Cashier is employed. Who is employed to manage the entire activities that are happening? Manager. What the worker will do? Many worker. One manager manages whom? Many worker. In this way you have to read. Okay. One manager manages many workers. So this is the usage of role. ROL, usage of role in association. Then you can have role as concepts also. Here, there is one different example. One store employs what? Many manager. One store employs many cashier. One manager manages many cashiers. Same, the previous example only, but it is represented in a different way. I have mentioned the role separately. Role as concept. Conceptual. This is your conceptual class. This is another conceptual class. So manager as one concept, cashier as another concept. Okay. Similarly, you can have worker. So here you have displayed role as concept. There you have mentioned the role in the association itself. This line is your association. This is your association. Here in the line at the end of the particular class name, you can't give cashier here. You can't write cashier here because cashier is associated to person only. The role of the person is cashier. Yes, these are all the small things, but easy things only you have to remember while drawing. Next, two things we will discuss in the next class: qualified association and then reflexive association. These are related to association only. Very simple thing. If it is associated to itself, if any concept is associated to itself means then that is reflexive association. Qualified means I am giving some attribute as a qualifier. In DBMS you might have seen. I'll finish this one. Very simple thing only. It will take less than 1 minute only. So there are two things with respect to association: qualified association and then reflexive association. Qualify means any qualifier you are going to use. In DBMS, you have used what? You are using primary key. That is the very fundamental, that is the important key. Through the primary key only, I am going to access the entries in other table. Like that, for a particular class, if I am going to make some attribute as a important, a key attribute means, then that is called as the qualifier. Okay, the qualifier value makes each thing on the left unique thing. So you have to use the qualified association carefully. They won't add new information. Only the existing information will be present. Let's see this one. Normally we draw like this. A product catalog contains what? One to many product specification. But under the product catalog, you can have the qualifier as what? Item ID. So one item ID contains how many specification? Only one specification. Here multiplicity is also reduced. There in general I have mentioned one to many product specification. But how I am specifying the product? Through ID. Through item ID. Here item ID is your qualifier. Okay. Then reflexive association, if a concept associate to itself. Yes, person. Two persons creating child. Only person is the only class. It is associated to itself. That is called as the reflexive association. Okay. Any doubts so far? With this, I will stop today's session. So we have seen so many things under domain model refinement. Conceptual, subclass, superclass. Then what? Is a rule, 100% rule, etc. If you have any doubts, put it in chat.